After August and I went through the hat box, I drew into myself and stayed there for a while. August and Zach tended to the bees and the honey, but I spent most of my time down by the river alone. I just wanted to keep to myself. The month of August had turned into a griddle where the days just lay there and sizzled. I plucked the leaves off the elephant ear plants and fanned my face. Sat with my bare feet submerged in the trickling water, felt breezes lift off the river surface and sweep over me. And still everything about me was stunned and stupefied by the heat. Everything except my heart. It sat like an ice sculpture in the center of my chest. Nothing could touch it. People in general would rather die than forgive. It's that hard. If God said in plain language, I'm giving you a choice, forgive or die, a lot of people would go ahead and order the coffin. I wrapped my mother's things in the falling apart paper, tucked them back in the hat box, and put the lid on it. Lying on my stomach on the floor, pushing the box under my cot, I found a tiny pile of mouse bones. I scooped them up and washed them in the sink. Every day I carried them around in my pocket and could not imagine why I was doing it. When I woke up in the mornings, my first thought was the hat box. It was almost like my mother herself was hiding under the bed. One night I had to get up and move it to the other side of the room. I had to strip off my pillowcase and stuff the box down inside it and tied it closed with one of my hair ribbons. All this just so I could sleep. I would walk to the pink house and use the bathroom and think my mother sat on the same toilet, and then I would hate myself for thinking it. Who cared where she sat to pee? She hadn't cared a whole lot about my bathroom habits when she abandoned me to Mrs. Watson and T. Ray. I gave myself pep talks. Don't think about her. It's over and done. The next minute, I swear to God, I would be picturing her in the pink house or out by the wailing wall, stuffing her burdens among the stones. I would have bet $20 T. Ray's name was squashed into the cracks and crevices out there. Maybe the name Lily was out there too. I wish she'd been smart enough, or loving enough, to realize everybody has burdens that crush them, only they don't give up on their children. In a weird way, I must have loved my little collection of hurts and wounds. They provided me with some real nice sympathy, with the feeling I was exceptional. I was the girl abandoned by her mother. I was the girl who kneeled on grits. What a special case I was. We were deep into mosquito season, so a lot of what I did by the river was swat at them. Sitting in the purple shadows, I pulled out the mouse bones and worked them between my fingers. I stared at things until I seemed to melt right into them. Sometimes I would forget lunch, and Rosaline would come find me, bearing a tomato sandwich. Then, after she left, I would throw it in the river. At times, I could not prevent myself from lying flat on the ground, pretending I was inside one of those beehive tombs. I felt the same way I did right after May died, only multiplied by 100. August had said, I guess you need to grieve a little while, so go ahead and do it. But now that I was doing it, I couldn't seem to stop. I knew that August must have explained everything to Zach, and June too, because they tiptoed around me like I was a psychiatric case. Maybe I was. Maybe I was the one who belonged on Bull Street, not my mother. At least no one prodded, or asked questions, or said, for Pete's sake, snap out of it. I wondered how much longer it would be before August hid to act on things I told her. Me running away, helping Rosaline escape. Rosaline, a fugitive. August was giving me time for now. Time to be by the river and do what I had to do. The same way she gave herself time there after May died. But it wouldn't last forever. It is the peculiar nature of the world to go on spinning no matter what sort of heartbreak is happening. June set a wedding date, Saturday, October 10th. Neil's brother, an African Methodist Episcopal Reverend from Albany, Georgia, was going to marry them in the backyard under the myrtle trees. June laid out all their plans one night at dinner. She would come walking down an aisle of rose petals, wearing a white rayon suit with frog closings that Maybelline was sewing for her. I could not picture frog closings. June drew a picture of one on a tablet, and afterward I still cannot picture them. Linnell had been commissioned to make her a wedding hat, which I thought was very courageous of June. There was no telling what she would end up with on her head. Rosaline offered to bake the wedding cake layers, and Violet and Queenie were going to decorate it with a rainbow theme. Again, all I can say is how brave June was. One afternoon, I went to the kitchen in the middle of the afternoon, nearly dying of thirst, wanting to fill a jug with water and take it back to the river, and found June and August clinging to each other in the middle of the floor. I stood outside the door and watched, even though it was a private moment. June gripped August's back, and her hands trembled. May would have loved this wedding, she said. She must have told me 100 times I was being stubborn about Neil. No, God, August, why didn't I do it sooner, while she was still alive? August turned slightly and caught sight of me in the doorway. She held June, who was starting to cry, but she kept her eyes on mine. She said, "Regrets don't help anything. You know that."